What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Ross Reviews, where today we are doing another Versus review. Here we got a 2016 Ford Mustang GT versus a 2010 FPV GT. America's pony versus Australian muscle. Let the battle of the Fords begin right now. Now let's just go over some of the specs on these two cars. Well, both of them are running 5-liter V8s. Both of them are a 6-speed manual, and both of them have a claimed 5-second 0 to 100. Now, the FPV, however, is supercharged over the Mustang's naturally aspirated V8. This engine, though, is based off of Ford's Coyote. It's in this one, but FPV, doing what Aussies do, they've supercharged it, added a bunch of goodies to it to push this over 450 horsepower now. The Mustang, however, with its naturally aspirated Coyote, is pushing about 410. Now, just doing a quick walk around, starting here with the GT. In this gorgeous color, it's mystic blue, got that lovely bonnet bulge, the nice stripes. This thing just looks really, really good. You know, we got 19-inch alloy wheels here, 4-pot Brembos on this one. It's just a really good vehicle. Look, 4 doors, big Aussie muscle. This is what we know and what we love. Inside this car, look, it's really nice again. Got nice leather seats in here. It's got some stitching on it. It's basic, you know, look, this is a 2010. Ford has always been known as having more of a basic interior, at least here in Australia. But, you know, it gets the job done, and it still looks pretty nice in there. And just coming over to the Mustang here, this is another lovely color. It's in deep impact. And I like the front end of this car. I've always liked it. It kind of has a really aggressive look about it. 19-inch alloys on this one. The Mustang GTs also received 6-pot Brembos up front, which is a really good upgrade. And, you know, and these are a pretty good looking car. They are. And on the inside, they really have been modernized. You know, this is a 2016, so it is significantly newer, but it feels newer on the interior here. It's a lot more creatures of comfort. Both of these cars obviously are quite different visually, so we will really have to wait and see how much different they drive. But for now, let's fire these guys up and hear how they sound. All right, now, starting this comparison in the Mustang. Look, I thought let's go ahead and jump into the American pony car first, you know, see what this thing has to offer before we get into that known and familiar love of the FPV. So, look, we've covered a couple of Mustangs before previously on the channel. This one is the 6-speed manual, so we do always like that. And look, I just want to say first off that I really do appreciate Ford for making the Mustang a 6-speed manual still being a true NA V8. I think I got to give them a lot of credit for coming out and still making this car because, look, this thing has been around since 1964. So, you know, this thing does have a lot of heritage and you can still feel it. So like we did previously state, this is running the 5-liter Coyote V8, and it is pushing about 410 horsepower and about 390 pound-foot of torque. So, you know, it's still healthy numbers here that we're dealing with. The real big win with this car is the luxuries you get with it. You know, you've got the Ford Sync infotainment system, which is really nice. You've got the different drive modes you can select through. The seats are really comfortable. You've got heated and cooled function. So the cooled seats here in Australia are a must. And, you know, I do like the general style of this car. It's only really the fact that it's just such a common vehicle is why I think it's just not as special as a lot of the FPVs. Just coming around this really tight hairpin here. Yeah, you can feel the weight. And it comes out nice though. and the suspension actually does a pretty good job. It's fairly firm around the corners, and when you're on a bit of a rougher back road here, it's got a really nice dampening setup. So it's not overly harsh. We are in Sport Plus mode right now. It's kind of what I'm going to leave it in, so we do get a little bit more of a sporty notion. Yeah, this is ideally what you want. The Mustang GT, I'd consider this thing, a GT car, muscle car, and it's a great cruiser. This thing just coming on the back roads here today and driving it around here, you can't really fault it for what it is, because it really is a lot of fun on the back road. It's got enough get up and go that you're satisfied, and it's got enough luxuries in here as well that it's a modern enough vehicle that you can daily this and live with it, and in reasonable terms, it's fairly reliable too. Now, price of these vehicles, look, they weren't reasonably affordable. So starting off, they entered at about $57,000 when this thing was new back in 2016. And I gotta say, that's pretty good value for getting a V8, 6-speed manual muscle car. I gotta say, Ford did do a good job on the price figure there. Now, again, since COVID as well, I think, these have held their value surprisingly well. So I had a look on car sales last night, and the average going rate, for a 2016 model, medium Ks on it, look around the 40 to 50 grand mark. So, it's really lost stuff all value in the past 5 years. And again, I've always said this about the Mustangs that I really appreciated that Ford did, was include track apps. So, you've got these kind of little track apps you can go through. This being an earlier Mustang, these are kind of rudimental ones. The later Mustangs with the digital gauge cluster, they really did get a massive upgrade in terms of a lot of the features and ease of use. But even this one still has the track apps. You can go through, you've got acceleration timers. It'll time your 0 to 100s and stuff, brake performance. Even got lap timers and launch control. So, it's pretty cool to see that in a car like this. And of course, you can always turn off traction control in this thing. So the fact that they let you do that, rear wheel drive, it's a lot of fun. Now, just giving it a little bit of sound here. Let's see what this thing does. Look, it's quick, but yeah, it definitely does not sound anywhere near as good as the Bullet Mustang I reviewed. It really does need an aftermarket exhaust to awaken this 5-liter. I think if you did just do couple of minor mods, air intake, exhaust system, maybe a little tune, this thing would really open it up. Really would be nice. Now, I'm going to do the 0 to 100 here. We'll just see if we can get this thing off the line. Okay. 6 seconds exactly. Well, look, we still bogged down a little bit at the beginning, but this is where you got to be used to the car. You got to be on a perfect road condition, perfect angle, yada, yada, yada. So, look, it's not the quickest thing from a standstill, but again, it's got enough get up and go that you're satisfied in this thing. Now just quickly, a huge shout out to this week's Patreon supporters. If you guys want to join the Patreon, get early access to content, videos, merch, there is a link in the description, so check it out. Now, in the FPV GT here, this is the, the one we know, the one we love, and straight away, just jumping from the Mustang into this, there is a tremendous difference in the driving position. Now, I've said this before about a lot of the Falcons, is that the driving position is probably not the greatest. You sit quite high in this. It does give you with a really nice view around you, but it is a little bit almost awkwardly high. I've always said this as well with the 6-speed manuals. They just have such a nice weight to them. They feel so much more satisfying to go in and out of gear than the Mustang does. The Mustang just feels a lot lighter. The throw is fairly similar, but this just feels like it's got mass behind it. You move this shifter in and out of gear, and you feel like you're really doing something. And that feeling is it's just so nice to have in a car like this. You come out of a corner in this thing, and oh my goodness, it is like a bat out of hell. Holy crap, there's so much life in the pedal. It just begs you to press it. It just does. It's got the pull, it really does. It's a lot more punchy than the Mustang, and to right. The steering feel as well is actually surprisingly a little bit lighter than the Mustang. It's still got a nice feel. It's definitely not as responsive as the Mustang. The Mustang does have that handling edge, I feel. Yeah, it definitely is, as you'd say with Falcons, it's definitely more boat-like. I said it in the last time I got in one of these, you don't buy one of these to try and carve up the B road and race a bloody Evo. You get one of these to cruise the back roads, punch on it, when you can, and just hear that engine roar. Now in this again, it's very basic, but we've come to expect that with FPV in Ford Australia. And look, I think a lot of people like it this way because there's not a whole amount of, things you can change, and this thing is just balls to the wall once you hit that big red go button, because you don't need to go into the infotainment system and change anything and put it into special drive modes and none of that garbage. This thing is just, you got all that 450 horsepower under your right foot whenever you want it, and that's just the joy of this thing. Yeah, the speed in this compared to the Mustang is just night and day. It is blisteringly fast straight line acceleration, this car. Comparing it to the Mustang, this thing has it easily. Once you get into the corners and stuff, I think that's really where the Mustang could come back, if you're on a track race or something. But yeah, wow, the feel of speed in this does feel just tremendously better. And just getting a little bit of the exhaust note here, easing onto it from second. It is a freaking good sounding car. Now, prices for these, from new, they were starting at about 71,000 Australian dollars. And, you know, look, these were always up there, especially in the FPVs. So, you know, if you had gone for the F6s, they were significantly cheaper. You know, you would have saved yourself, you know, almost 15, 20 grand. But just something about the V8 and in here in Australia, you know. Now, on the used market, these have really held their value again. And these things now, if you want to get a nice example of one of these, good luck finding one. And if you do, you're going to have to pay out your eyeballs, because they're still going for between 60 and 80,000 Australian dollars now. So, you know, we're coming up 10 years over on now, and these things have not lost a bloody dime. Just that supercharger just easing on. Wow, this the speed is effortless in this thing. You know, just pick a gear and mash the pedal, and this thing will sort you out, because it's just got power everywhere. And yeah, it's such an improvement from the 5.4 liter Boss engines they had before, because those things, you really had to wring them out to get any kind of speed, where that supercharger just, yeah, it just sorts all those problems out. If we could only just stiffen this steering up a little bit, tighten the suspension on the corners, and give this thing a couple of track apps, oh my goodness, this is just heaven. Now, 0 to 100, well, climbing about 5 seconds. If you're good, I've heard sub 5 seconds, but we'll just do what we can, so. There, we bogged a bit. 100. Now you can really feel, I swear to God, I could feel the overboost hit right there. Right when we were in second gear, we got just to about 5,000 RPM. I could feel this thing just give that little bit extra nudge. And man, yeah, wow. Obviously we did stall out a little bit on the launch there, which obviously, you know, got to be used to the car, got to have perfect road conditions, etc., etc. But my goodness, you know, for just get up and go speed, this is more than enough. I am not sure actually if this does have the overboost feature. I know the later ones did, like the GTF, the Sprint models, but man, just doing a pull right there, I swear to you guys, it felt like it had it. 5,000 to 6,000 just went up a gear. So, conclusions. Both of these Fords are absolute monsters in their own right, but both of them are very different to one another out on the open road. The FPV feels more special, and when you lay your foot into it, this thing hauls. When you're in the Mustang, this thing just feels like it's going fast sitting still. And you know, it's definitely the better handler and daily driver. If it was my money though, I would still opt for the GT, hands down. Well, I want to know what you guys think. So leave it down in the comments below. What do you think was better? Which one would you buy with your own money? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, please remember to hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you're new here, and we'll see you on that next video.